Hey, welcome back to my channel. I have a returning guest, the gentleman psychic, Richard Lael, back with me again. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
On my end, last time our connection wasn't so good, so hopefully everything will be a little bit more smooth. Uh, so, so what's going on with you? Anything new happening right now? Or
Not really. I do my weekly podcast, which is Movie Coven, where we discuss magic and witchcraft in cinema. And so that is every Wednesday. You can find us there. So which is Movie Coven. I've got another podcast that is on hiatus right now, but it is Scared and Alone, where we investigate haunted houses. We send in Ms. Courtney Buckley as ghost bait, and then I paint the specters that I see. I'm here in New Orleans. I do readings, I do seances, I do magic, I decorate, all kinds of fabulous things.
that's. Can you tell me a little bit more about the movie, the witches movie Coven?
Witch's Movie Coven is so much fun. It has host Patti Negri, Heather Greene, Courtney Buckley, Jason Mankey, and yours truly. And every Wednesday we review different films. And then for an hour, we sit and discuss the ramifications of witchcraft in cinema. So it can be oftentimes a literal witch, as in the case of The Witch, the film from a few years back, and we discussed, do we like it? Do we not like it? How is this magic affecting our real lives? Does this have anywhere? Is this anything that we would do in our own practice? We just did Wicked, and that was you. You look like you're about to say something.
No, it's just the connection froze for a little second, um, but you're back.
So we did Wicked, which, of course, we dealt with the political ramifications of having an unqualified man who gaslights an entire nation and a woman of color who is ostracized and cast aside when all she wants to do is help the animals. So we had that sort of a political talk. Sometimes we'll get together and we'll talk about Beltane, or we'll talk about Yule, or we'll talk about whatever the Love Witch, for instance. So we just watch all of these films and we talk about it. I think we've been going at it for 2 years, maybe three. I don't know now.
That sounds fun. Like, so you just you're movie critics when it comes to like magical movies and stuff like that. That's cool. Yeah,
Absolutely.
do y'all give like ratings or a rating system?
We do. So the way that we vote is one's up or one's down. And, sometimes we'll have those who will love a film, love a film, love a film, and then we'll have those who dislike it and they'll turn their wands down. But then we do a neutral one so that they can hold their wand sort of at a, I didn't mind it, as Heather Greene once said. I didn't mind it. So we've discussed some good movies and some B movies, and they're all magic, and it's a lot of fun to get into that.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Um, okay, so moving on to a different topic. I've noticed in the comment section and people I talk to, especially me, including me, or myself, um, have noticed that dreams have become a little wonky, stranger than usual. What do you think that could be attributed to? Because everyone's talking about an increase in bad dreams or weird dreams they never dreamed before.
Well, there is mass consciousness, there is mass psyche, and I think my internet is the one that's unstable. I don't know why it keeps popping up like that. But I think that there is. there is something called mass psyche, and I think that there are a lot of things politically, naturally, that are happening across the world that is increasing anxiety. And then also on the very physical side of it is that our diets really are not what they should be. And there is a direct correlation between diet and the dream world. So I think that as far as the anxiety dreams that are happening, it just shows that there is a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of fear about the future. There's a lot of fear about the environment. There's a lot of fear about poverty. There's a lot of fear about a lot of things. And it manifests itself in ways in our subconscious that will reflect and communicate to each other. No man is an island. So our dream worlds affect the other dream worlds.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree with you as well. I was just saying if you had a differing opinion. So how many years have you been doing magic or practicing magic?
Well, I when I was a boy, I did magic and witchcraft, but I didn't realize that it was magic and witchcraft. There was a time when I was a sort of pseudo goth child. I was a Victorian goth child, and I did spells and magic, and I didn't call it witchcraft because I was raised Pentecostal. So, which is an offset of it's an evangelical Christian religion. But in my 20s, I left. I then grew weary and I lived in London. And so it was in that time, in between Vegas and London, England, that I actually started focusing on actual witchcraft and actual magic. And so I have been doing it ever since, and I won't tell you how many years, but I have been doing it since I was in my 20s.
Okay, so yeah, it's just like there's a different energy in Europe than there is in America. I've noticed that there's a different energy. Where you said London, yeah, when I was there, man, there was you can tell there was a historic type of energy to everything, and it just you could feel the history there. You can breathe the history,
Well,
and it's
and
just
I went from England to Sweden. Oh, no, I was in Greece first, and then I was in Sweden. And in Greece, we think in the West, oh, 200 years, that's a long time. And I suppose that it can be. For an historic building, it can be. But when you look at Greece and you have thousands of years of history and anger and death and war and love and food and music, it really does affect even the waters that surround it.
yeah, yeah, agreed. And so, do you think it? So you say you went to London, you started practicing witchcraft even more, or you start taking it more serious, correct? So is there something that so what about it reawoken the drive to take it fully?
Well, I had never really stopped. But mind you, um, as I said, I grew up Pentecostal. And so, for those of you who don't know, they speak in tongues and they roll on the floor. And, oftentimes it depends on the sect. I was a more liberal sect of the Assemblies of God. But the more conservative sects are the Apostolic Oneness Jesus Name Pentecostals. So I didn't call it witchcraft. I always have done it. And then when I went to Vegas, I sort of I left everything behind and I just focused on fun and I would go out every single night. And then when I grew weary of that life, I went to London and I had to be forced into finding routes, finding ways. And sort of the catalyst I would say was when I was living in Vegas, I was doing very well financially. I was I was in my 20s and I was a blackjack dealer. I was making really good money. And I went to London, and the pound at the time was worth double the dollar. So I was still in my mind spending money the way that I had before of I'll go to the theater and I'll go to dinner and I'll take a taxi, and like it was just it was like water. And when my bank accounts got low and I could not find a way to legally stay in the United Kingdom, I went, okay, I have to do something. 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 And I said, okay, I will find a way out. I will get a plane ticket and I will get a gig. Someone will pay me. And 3 days later, I got an email inviting me to Greece to play Freddie Mercury. It was what I had already been doing anyway, but I was flown to Greece. And
The
they said, we'll
signal.
pay you X amount of euros and 3 shows. And can you hear me?
Yeah, the signal kind
Can
of
you hear me
cut out
now?
again for a second. If you could, if we were, yeah, can we rewind that just a little bit, if you don't mind?
So, uh, um, I was living in London,
Freddie
and then
Mercury.
I
Freddie Mercury.
decided, right, because I got the gig playing
Yeah,
Freddie
yeah,
Mercury in Greece.
yeah,
And they paid me a
yeah.
certain amount of money, and they paid me, they gave me room and board, 2 meals a day, and an apartment, plus my fee. And I was there for 6 months, and then I was about to fly back, and my friend said, "Hey, come to Sweden. I've married a Swedish girl. Come to Sweden." And so I spent another 6 months in Sweden and Denmark, right on the border of Malmo, Sweden, which is right next to Copenhagen, Denmark. And when that ran out, again, 6 months of no work, when that ran out, I I got a gig working in it was another email. It paid my way back to the States. It gave me another $1,500, which is what gave me my apartment in San Francisco. So I manifested it because I had no all other choices. I had to do what I had to do.
Now that's another thing I want to ask you. You manifested that. Do you have any advice that I could take to manifest what I want?
Where I believe that anyone can do it, it does take intense practice. Um, the main thing that I would recommend is that you speak clearly, concisely, and specifically. The funny thing is, the universe will give you what you want within reason. And it will say, for instance, I want to lose weight. Great. Now you're sick. You've lost weight because you are sick. Or you could
That's
say,
just laughing. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
and really, no, that's quite all right. And where I didn't realize that I had practiced this. I was living in Hollywood, California, just catty-cornered from Hollywood Forever Cemetery. I was fairly new to Los Angeles. And I was driving along in my classic car, feeling completely sorry for myself, living in a tiny one-room studio apartment, had a little kitchenette and a little bathroom, but it was a studio. And I actually liked that apartment, but I was driving along one day feeling sorry for myself that I had not done what I had set out to do. And the spirit, there is one in particular that follows me. She said to me, "You said this car was going to make you happy, doesn't it?" And I felt a little bit checked. And I said, "You are right. I love this car. Thank you." And she directed my attention to a homeless man getting on the bus. And she said to me, "See that man? He doesn't have a car, any car, much less the one that he asked for. In fact, he's getting on that bus because he doesn't have a home. And where do you live?" "I live there," I said. She said, remember when you walked into that apartment and you said, I will live here in this apartment? And even though there were other ones available with more rooms, that one, for whatever reason, was the one that you wanted, and that's the one you got. And then you asked for Victorian furniture that was French Rococo revival, and you found it. And she went on this list, and she said to me, when you asked when you were a little boy that you would live in England and be treated like a rock star. And when you were in England, you were not dying, you were living. They treated you like Freddie Mercury, who was a rock star. And I went, right. And she said, when you were a little boy again, you said you would live in Hollywood, California, and that you would wear a custom three-piece suit and you would wear a top hat. You dress up as Willy Wonka in those days. What you do, you wear a custom suit with a top hat, carry a cane, and people take your picture and give you money. She said, so what do you want? And I tried to be humble and said, I want to take care of myself. I want to make certain that I am taken care of, pat myself on the back. And she said, yeah, you already do that. You already pay your own bills. Nobody pays your bills but you. What do you want? And I said, oh, right. Okay. Well, I want to be an actor. She says, you are an actor. You get dressed every day as Willy Wonka. That's acting. You're not Willy Wonka. I went, well, I know, but I want to be in film and television. And she said, Arrested Development, Modern Family, The Bee in Apartment 23, America's Next Top Model, uh, Saving Mr. Banks. There was a lot of, and she went down this litany of things. And I said, yes, but that wasn't enough. That wasn't really what I needed. She said, but it's exactly what you asked for. She said, so what do you want? And I said, okay, you want me to ask for more? I want to be famous. If I am famous, then I can make more connections, and that means more money, and that means more ability, and then that is what I want. And she said, hello, you are famous. Every single day, hundreds of people take your picture and wish you well. Do you know anybody in the entire world who is not an A-list celebrity or a big tech billionaire or a celebrity politician who is so well known that in every single city, in every single state, in every single country, in every single continent on the planet, there are people, at least one by proxy, who knows of you and knows about you and wishes you well? Do you know anyone like that? And I said, no, but that's not what I meant. But she says, it's what you asked for. Now, what do you want? And I didn't know what I wanted. And she said, if you don't know what you want, I don't know what you want. And if I don't know what you want, I can't help you. And until you know what you want, you know where to find me. And I did. I drifted for a while. And so the advice is speak clearly, speak concisely, make certain that when you are asking, whenever you are directing your magic, be specific. One may ask for wealth. One may ask to be rich. Well, if all of the piles of human suffering were placed in one open pile for everyone to see, we would all snatch our own sufferings out of that fire before taking anyone else's life, anyone else's troubles. So what that says to me is, be specific, ask for it. If you ask to be rich, you are rich compared to someone who is living on the street, or someone who doesn't have enough food to eat, or someone who doesn't have shelter, someone who doesn't have clean water. You are rich. So be specific. There's a little game
True.
that I like where
True.
it's called Genie. Genie, I wish. And in this one, the aspect of the game is that the player is supposed to try to find the most generic wish that causes least harm, no damage, it doesn't cause any major troubles, and you get exactly what you ask for. It has to be altruistic, it can be selfish, but it has to be something that not backfire. So, for instance, I want to be famous. Okay, well, you're famous because you're a serial killer. Congratulations. No, that's not what I meant. Okay, well, what
Yeah.
do you mean? Um, I want $1 billion in cash right now in your hand. Well, that will you will be crushed under tons of paper and coins. Great. No, that's not what I meant. I I want it in the bank. Great. Now you're being investigated for tax evasion because where did this what do you mean? Be specific. No, it's not going to give you things that are almost impossible. There are, oh goodness, I think 13 or 14 billionaires in the United States. The truth is that is less than 1% of the population. We are not going to be billionaires. Many of us may never be millionaires. Many of us will never be 100,000 heirs. Many of us may never be 50,000 heirs, you know? So it has to be reasonable to you. And then the next thing is that you must take action.
I agree. Yeah, we could wish all day long, but if we're not like enforcing that goal and making it reality, we it's not going to happen because we do have to exert a little action to get things done. Thank you for that. That's actually, it sounds like a very fun game to play. Be the genie. That sounds fun. Um, I think there was a meme going around is like, okay, be the genie, and you make a wish till it purposely backfires on somebody in the comment section. And I think that was like a couple of years ago, and I played it, and I got a kick out of it. What is your favorite magical author that you like to read about or read or study?
Well, you know, I find Aleister Crowley to be fascinating. I find his to be incredibly intriguing. I am inspired, a little repulsed, a little afraid, a little intrigued by Aleister Crowley. He is my favorite. But if you want something a little more contemporary, there are some great reads. Jason Mankey, my co-host on Witches Movie Coven, has written, I think, 11 books on magic. He is a fount of wisdom. Heather Greene has done lights, camera, witchcraft. She is incredibly brilliant. She's the publisher of Llewellyn. Patti Negri has done a lot of books on magic. I'm working on one, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. But there are a lot of great authors that you can find. Llewellyn has a great vast library. There is one in particular that I think that everyone should read. Kate Fuhrer, I think that is her name. Let me just here. Kate. Here we go. You can find the book on Amazon. You can also go to the Llewellyn website. Let me just here. Freuler, Fuhler, Kate Fuhler,
Okay.
Magic at the Crossroads.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And
Yeah.
you may notice that I did the foreword for this book, and I picked up her book and I devoured it. She is so brilliant, a prolific author. She is my new favorite author.
Okay, what can you name? Or I'll just ask you in the messages for the name of your co-host that wrote books. and I'll put that in the description box as well, so other people can find that. If you don't mind sending it after this,
Of course.
I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I do have a couple more questions. But I don't know, you got to go soon or no?
Fairly soon, but that's okay. Do what we need to do.
Okay, one more question then. One more. Okay. How can somebody root out these new age gurus that sell all these courses and stuff from the real authentic teachers?
That is a deep question. For one, there is, I would say, look who they spend time with. Every author, no matter who they are, understand that it is opinions. When they start saying things internally that you don't agree with, it's okay. You don't have to suppress it. I say question everyone and question everything, question
Yeah.
everyone's motives. Even me, question everyone's motives, because then you can sort of get down to the nitty-gritty and find out. But
No, I
it's
mean
a hard
I
one.
mean like these false teachers. That's what I was thinking about. Like the ones that don't really believe in anything. They just believe in selling lies
You
and stuff.
you will find that in every tradition,
Oh yeah,
from televangelists who offer money for salvation or salvation for money or whatever it may be. Or even the other day, I was dealing with a client who had a family member who had passed on. And she'd gone to a supposed alleged psychic who told her, "Oh, he's in limbo and I can cross him over for $12,000." No, that is that no. No.
right.
I'm sorry. No.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming back again to my channel, and hopefully in the future, if you're free or you want to come back, please do. I think you are one of the favorites.
I'm
So yeah, and you're my first interview.
I'm
And
always I'm always
thank
available.
you so much, brother. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, much love.
Bye.
Goodbye.